What's up guys, welcome back to Finance to Fly. My name is Luke and I'm here to help you elevate your travel while minimizing your spending. Today we are going to be reviewing the newly announced, newly released Bilt Blue Card. So for the annual fee for this card, it is a $0 annual fee. And as far as sign up bonus goes, you're going to get $100 Bilt cash just for getting approved for this card and signing up for it. Earning rates are pretty simple. It's 1 point per dollar spent on everything, including rent and mortgages. And then you get 4% back in Bilt cash on every purchase except rent and mortgages. You also get some bonus points with your Bilt neighborhood partners, such as 3 points per dollar spent on partner restaurants, fitness studios, and Lyft, and then 2 points per dollar spent at Walgreens. So as far as the benefits go, this is a no annual fee card, so it's pretty light list. You're going to get no foreign transaction fees, which is always a nice thing, and then you're going to get some cell phone protection. That's about it for this card. And moving into what the card is worth, it's pretty simple. It's a no annual fee card. I guess it's whatever you can put on this card and earn 1 point per dollar spent plus the 4% cash back on Bilt. So for card videos, we like to do redemptions if you're new to the channel. And one of the best points ecosystem with the best transfer partners is actually Bilt. I would say they're number one. They have Alaska Airlines, Hyatt, United, as well as all the other base transfer partners. And they've also been adding a lot more than others. They added Spirit, they added Japan Airlines. Chase, Amex, Capital One haven't been really adding. They've been actually subtracting, especially with Emirates. But either way, Bilt has the best transfer partners. And we're gonna look at 3 different transfer partners right now. First one we're gonna look at is where you can use your Bilt points for a hotel. Say you want to go to Hawaii. There's a nice Category 8 hotel with Hyatt. It's the Andes Maui at Waiala Resort. It's a Category 8 hotel, like I mentioned, and it's best of the best in Hyatt's portfolio. It's going to normally cost around $700 to $800 a night for this room, but you can get it for 45,000 points a night. That's a pretty solid way to redeem your Bilt points. Then we're going to look at a classic transfer partner, Air Canada. This is because Air Canada is able to be transferred by pretty much everyone everyone that has transferable points. One of the nice things about Air Canada is they might not have a lot of award space within the US and going outside the US in terms of business class, but when you get outside the US and stay outside the US, or North America I should say, you're going to get some better award rates. You can look at this flight on the screen. You can get all the way from Tokyo to Perth on a direct flight on ANA Airways, and in business class it's only 45,000 points and $100 Canadian. That is a solid deal for a 10-hour flight. I mean, 45,000 points for a 10-hour flight, you can barely find that over to Europe. If you're able to take advantage of this route, this would be a great way to redeem your points. Last but not least, we're going to look at Alaska as the final transfer partner. This is because Alaska is only able to be transferred to from Bilt. There's no other transfer partner that transfers to them. And Alaska has some solid award rates, especially when it comes to economy. You can get pretty much anywhere in the US for 7,500 miles. If you book far in advance and you don't have any blackout dates, this is because they're partnered with American. But another one of the partners with Alaska, it's LATAM Airlines. Take for example this nearly 12-hour long flight from LAX to Sao Paulo, Brazil. You can book it for 30,000 points in economy and just $20 in taxes and fees, which is a really solid deal. And normally this one-way ticket would probably be around $600-700 at least in economy. You're paying 30,000 points and $20 in taxes and fees. That is a very good deal. So now for my thoughts and who I think this card is for. And so yes, this video is coming out later in the year. These changes to this card was announced back in January, February, released in February. The reason why I waited this long to review it is because when it was first coming out, there was a lot of different days where news was coming out. They were adding stuff, subtracting stuff, especially once they got all the bad press on this card, as well as the 2 other cards they released. My thoughts on this card are pretty simple. It is a 1 point per dollar spent earner, a no annual fee card. The old $0 annual fee card used to have 3 points on dining, 2 points on travel, 1 point per dollar spent everywhere else. You don't get that anymore. This is a base 1 point per dollar spent. Sure, you get the 4% Bilt cash, but we'll go into that in a little bit. Gotta kind of explain this first. This is a 1 point per dollar spent card. I've repeated myself now 3 times. It's not that not worth it. I think if you're gonna go with Bilt, you're gonna wanna go with a higher annual fee card. And you might be thinking, well, I get 4% Bilt cash. Well, in reality is that 4% Bilt cash goes towards rent. You can't really use it outside of the Bilt ecosystem. They designed it in a way where you can't transfer it out. You can only use it with your partners or maybe a statement credit here and there. Not to mention, they also changed the rent requirements. In order to get your rent paid for without a transaction fee, you have to actually spend on the card, not just for transactions, and we'll talk about that right now. First example, because they actually have two different ways you can do this. The first example, the one way that they announced, they started off with is you needed to spend 75% of whatever your rent is in order to get a transaction fee rent with points on this card. And what does that mean? If you had $1,000 rent, you needed to spend $750 in food, grocery, gas, dining, whatever it may be on the card in order to get enough Bilt cash to cover the rent. Every $1,000 of rent, you needed $30 in Bilt cash. So when you earn that 4% Bilt cash, 4% of 1,000 is $40. If you get down to $30, which is what you need for the rent, you would need $750. It kind of just moves in increments. If you have $2,000 rent, it's $1,500 you need to spend. This is how they first originally set it. Then after 2 days of getting all this online ridicule over this change, they ended up adding a different way to use rent payments and get points on rent payments. It was a little bit more simpler and they probably should have gone with it, but they have both these options. And so this option is pretty much if you spend 25% of your rent, so if you have $1,000 in rent and you spend $250 on the card, you're going to get half the points to the rent, so you're gonna get 500 points towards your rent. If you spend 50% of your rent, so if you have $1,000 rent and you spend $50, $500, you would get 750 points on that rent spend. In order to hit the full 1,000 points on that $1,000 rent payment period, you need to spend $750 for $1,000 rent. And then they added this little bonus thing. If you spend 100% of your rent or more, you actually get 1.25 points per dollar spent on rent. So if you spent $1,000 on food, gas, grocery, all of that stuff, and you had $1,000 rent, you would get 1,250 points on your rent, which isn't a bad earning rate. So with both those options, you have two ways to use the card in order to get points on your rent. Which one should you choose? Well, about a week or so after they had announced all these changes, they came out with what you can redeem Bilt cash with. I've got the options on the screen now. There's a lot. You can use it for dining, groceries, health, wellness, travel, transit, and other things. A lot of it are capped at either $5 or $10 per month limit, and you can get all the way up to $350 with a Blade credit, which is a helicopter service for you New Yorkers. And there's just a lot of different options. You can redeem that extra 1% Bilt cash if you spend 100% of your rent. And what is that 1% really worth? It's, I mean, $1,000, you'll get $10. So you spend $1,000 on your rent, $1,000 in Bilt cash, you get the fee-free rent, and then you get a $10 credit you can use on Grubhub or something else. There is one notable one that I wanted to point out because I think people are looking at it a little bit more optimistic than what it actually is, and it's the other option in terms of choosing. So with this card, you can actually, if you redeem $200 in Bilt cash, you can earn 1 point per dollar extra on the next $5,000 spent until the end of the calendar year. So what does that mean? You redeem $200 in Bilt cash in, say, March. The next $5,000 spent on normal things, excluding rent and mortgages, 2 points per dollar spent instead of 1. It's an extra point boost, but what are you really sacrificing for? Well, it's $200 in Bilt cash, and the 5,000 extra points you'll earn from this is worth $50. At a minimum, $100 is a really good value. To get back to the $200 in Bilt cash you earned, you got to earn 4 cents per piece on the 5,000 points. It makes sense, but it doesn't. You're spending $200 in Bilt cash that you either earn from holding the card or the sign-up bonus or just spending on the card, and you're translating that into I have to spend more in order to earn only $50 worth of points. When I first heard of this redemption option, I was like, oh my god, this is great. But then you look at it and you're like, well, if I took that $200 and I used it on Grubhub or I used it or the $25 per month on select restaurants, I would have gotten much more value out of it if I just used it like my Bilt cash how I earned it. I mean, redeeming that for the extra 1 point per dollar spent on all purchases for the next 5,000 points, they're really just taking the value value away that you've earned. You're taking that $200 and reducing it to $50. Sure, you get an extra 5,000 points that you're able to transfer out to airlines, and maybe that does make a difference in terms of getting you to that next redemption. If you earn, normally 60,000 points a year, it maybe earns you 70 instead of 60, gets you to that next level. But I really don't like the idea of turning $200 into $50 worth of points. At the end of the day, your points are only worth as much as you redeem them for, and until you redeem them, they're worth 1 cent per piece. I would much rather have the $200 in Bilt cash and use the $10 Grubhub credit each month or the $25 dining credit each month. It would just make more sense to take more value out of the Bilt cash than actually transfer over to using more spend to get 1 point per dollar more. If that doesn't make sense, let me know. I can try to put out a video early into next year that really explains it, breaks it down in a much better way. But reality is, with this $0 annual fee card, it's not good. I would go to the $95 or $495 annual fee card. 1 point per dollar spent is not worth much these days, and especially if you have to put all your spend on it in order to get 1 point per dollar spent on rent, I would just move over to a Chase Freedom Unlimited, get 1.5% cash back, or Ace Amex Gold, or something that gets a better earning rate. But wrapping things up, I want to hear what your thoughts are. Did I make it understandable in terms of understanding the Bilt cash and why you shouldn't really earn that extra 1 point per dollar spent? What are your thoughts on the $0 annual fee card? Do you still hold a Bilt card? I know I canceled my Bilt card when these changes came out just because I didn't want to put all my spend on one card at the time. Let me know your thoughts and comments down below, and if you could hit that like and subscribe button, it would be greatly appreciated. Until next time, have a great day.